Yo, what up, man?
How's it going? Merry Christmas and happy Wonder Womans to you.
Oh man. So I take it you've seen the movie?
Yes, and I take it you have too.
Yes, I have. I have. So first off, what's your high level view of the movie? What do you think, man? Oh yeah, we're talking Wonder Woman 1984.
Yeah, Wonder Woman 1984. Spoilers ahead. Enjoyed it. I know we're going to do a complete review of this, and so I'm obviously thinking, you know, trying to put that into perspective. Interestingly enough, I just did a revisit of a review that we did in 2017, 19, I was going to say 1984. I didn't hesitate when you asked me that same question 3 or 4 years ago. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah, yeah.
immediately knew the answer to that. So let me not answer and send it back on you and say, what did you think?
I don't think it was as good as the first movie. First of all, it it was just lacking, dude. It's like I expected way more out of it. They've really hyped up this movie. Um, and a lot of my problems is going to be with the script. I felt the script wasn't great. It just didn't feel like they took it up to the next level to me.
So let me ask you this. Do you think if it came out in June, if you would have thought the same thing as what you're saying now?
I would have thought the same thing.
Do you see where I'm going with that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, yes, I would have thought the same exact thing. I just think it's not a great movie.
And I think I would have thought the same thing too, but I couldn't help but wonder if it was we were wanting this movie and knew this movie was supposed to be out for so long
Yeah.
that it added a level of unrealistic expectation.
Well, added to that, the whole HBO Max debacle, not going to theaters, COVID,
Yeah.
etc. So it definitely had a lot of pressure on it. I'll say that first of all. And I don't know, man. It just didn't live up to the hype because it was supposed to be one of the biggest movies of this year of 2020, and it just, in my opinion, it just wasn't that.
So if you were to say the one thing that you think made it feel like it didn't live up to the hype, what would that one thing be?
Oh, I got a lot of things, but
Okay.
I'll start. I think the whole 1980s nostalgia trip that a lot of movies slash TV shows has done lately has been overplayed. So by the time we get it here, it's like, is it really that unique or special? We got the whole mall scene. We got the awkwardness of seeing Steve in the clothes in the 80s clothes. We got all that nostalgia trip type stuff, but to me at this point it's been overplayed. And if they want to do it, I think the jokes should have been a lot tighter if that's what they want to go with.
Hmm.
But it just it kind of fell flat to me, dude. It really did.
I think for a period piece, the first Wonder Woman worked because it was so
Well,
period. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah.
And just a hello to Charles Cleveland Jr. He said, "What's up?" So, hey, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you too, Charles. So, yeah, I didn't get the 1984 vibe. Now, there's a lot of things in there that I loved. There's things that it did, and he loved Wonder Woman 84, so that's cool. There is a lot of things I loved, but if I were to compare it to another movie, I would compare it to The Amazing Spider-Man
Okay.
because it had a lot of things in there that it felt like they were trying to do too much.
Yes, yes. I mean, again, I feel like the first two acts of the movie just fell flat. The whole 1980s nostalgia trip to me fell flat. Some of the jokes were even cheesy to me, which I thought was really weird. I had a problem with seeing Pedro Pascal as this character. I don't even remember the character's name.
Maxwell Lord.
That yeah, that's how much of an impact he had on me. It was weird for me to see him, from hearing that voice in Mandalorian, to see him playing this first super cheesy role And then it got more serious and heartfelt toward the end, but I didn't like it. And I haven't seen him act in a lot of things, so maybe it was just weird for me to put that face with that voice.
Voice, got
Yeah,
you.
because I can't think of anything else I've seen him act in, so it just felt weird all around.
So here's why I say that I think they tried to do a little bit too much. The Duke of Deception is one of Wonder Woman's first from the 1940s villains. Okay. But he was very corny in a way in the 1940s, and he was not Maxwell Lord. Maxwell Lord is a complete separate character unto himself that came in the 80s and was in the 90s, 2000, and so forth, still around today. That being said, mashing those two characters together that had nothing to do with each other and making this Wishmaster thing tie into the cheetah origin totally
Yeah,
just was
yeah,
like, nah.
yeah. Honestly, the wish fulfillment slash I'm gonna get something in return part of it for me felt more confusing than any time and space adventures we've seen in Doctor Who. To me, it just got more and more convoluted. And then we're going to use particles from the satellite to actually touch people to make the wishes. I'm like, bit of a stretch, but okay, okay. It it just felt very clumsy by the end of the movie. And then the last act, I don't. What was that all about? I mean, the whole fight at the I guess secret recording studio.
Yeah.
it I didn't like it, man.
I I went away. I just listened to you and I talk saying to you that it was one of the greatest movies of all time, meaning the first Wonder Woman. You know,
Yeah.
I was so immediately blown away, and I'm sitting here wanting to defend it because there was things that they did that I loved. I loved the invisible jet, how she made the jet invisible.
I wish they would have showed her maybe doing the orb prior to the moment she actually makes the jet invisible. But by them revealing that she's been playing with this right before she does it, to me, it just felt a little too convenient and a little too cheesy. I liked it ultimately, but like a lot of things in this movie, I feel like the pacing and how they introduce a lot of things just felt off. Again, like the whole first half of the movie, the pacing for me just was horrendous. Let's do a whole act of the movie going down this 80s nostalgia trip that nobody wanted. I will say when we was in the mascara for the first 5 minutes of the movie, that was amazing. I want to see that movie. Where's that movie?
But what I was disappointed in was that was the only time we saw the mascara the entire movie.
Yes, I thought we would go back. I really did. But
But if hadn't been back, see, and again, another thing about putting it in the past, if she hadn't gone back at the beginning of Batman versus Superman, you couldn't have her go back in 1984.
yeah, yeah. And also,
So,
yeah, and as far as continuity, did she fly in Batman v Superman or
yeah,
Justice?
she did. But see, this
I,
is her learning how to fly.
I don't remember her flying in the other two
Well,
movies.
well, well, maybe she flew at the end. Maybe it was Justice League. She flew at the end of one of those movies. She
Okay.
took off and flew. But see, that's another tie-in. Back in the 70s and 80s, not until 1986 that Wonder Woman flew. Before that, she was in the plane because she couldn't fly. Then she, in the Silver Age, learned how to float on air currents, which
Yeah,
is what she was at first doing. There was floating on air currents, and then she learned to fly.
yeah. I mean, I loved how they did that in the movie. I thought that was great as well. I have to admit, the whole uh, entering the other dude's body kind of
I wasn't
creepy.
expecting that, and it was creepy.
Yeah, that was very creepy. I'm like, really? You're gonna have this whole movie where he's gonna be inhabiting this other guy's body,
Yeah,
and they're gonna treat it as like that's him. It just felt weird. It felt very
yeah, yeah. And then, okay, so let me ask you this: do you think that last scene at Christmas was shot later?
yes, because
You
they
know what I'm
knew
talking?
Christmas.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
coming. Yeah, that
yeah,
felt like so tagged on at the end with the Christmas thing. But
yeah.
it was kind of creepy that she goes up and sees the other guy, and it's like, flirting with him at the
Yeah,
end.
like what?
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, yeah. What do you think of Cheetah? I forget the. Is it Kirsten? What's the girl's? Uh,
Kristen Wiig.
Kristen Wiig. She was fabulous. You know,
Agreed.
until the last act. Until the last act. She could have been the main villain. I loved how they showed her progressing, being more confident as she, basically wishes to be like Diana. I thought all that was great, and I want to just see more of that. I was happy with just seeing that, but the last act when she actually goes, ham at the end
Hmm.
by fully embracing those powers, I thought it was horrible. It was quite
Yeah.
horrible. The
And
was terrible.
and I think they could have done a better job making the cheetah look.
It didn't look good.
It
It did.
didn't. It
It,
didn't.
then the whole fight where they're like swinging across the power lines,
Hmm.
it it was bad.
I, I have to admit, I was going, electrify the kitty, electrify the kitty,
as you would. As,
as I would.
uh,
Uh,
yeah. Any other takeaways from this movie?
okay, so one thing that I loved, when they were telling the story at the beginning, I think, or when they showed, when I think it was when Diana was talking about the golden armor,
Yes.
and
Uh,
they showed this other Amazon, and they showed the eyes.
did
I
you realize?
immediately, huh?
Did you realize it at that moment?
I unconsciously realized it because I kind of got choked up because I was like, no, 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 they didn't, and I was like, I was like, that's, and it was like, no, 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 no,
No
no.
way, huh? Yeah.
Yeah. And then, at the end, and because I don't want to, like, anybody watching, I don't want to spoil that for anyone. But then at the end, when they're showing that scene, oh my goodness, that was like that made me forgive anything that the rest of the movie had done at all.
Yeah.
So that was A plus 100%.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, this movie worried me a little bit too because Patty Jenkins, the director, is supposed to be directing a new Star Wars movie called Rogue Squadron. That's coming up in the next few years, and I'm a little worried, man, because this movie it just had so many problems. I had problems with some of the scenes. I think it was in particular the White House scene when Wonder Woman has been she's been pretty much knocked out or knocked down, and she's like laying on the ground, and she's
Hmm.
to Kristen Wiig's character.
Hmm.
To me, just the way they framed the shot just looked bad. It just looked bad because they had her in a kind of awkward position, laying.
Yeah, but then again, let's take it the other way. Every time you see Diana, as Diana, it's like they purposely accentuated how pretty Gal Gadot is.
True.
And every time you saw her, she was in these flowing outfits and dressed to the nine. And then of course you've got originally for Barbara Minerva as for lack of a better word, Frumpty Dumpty.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
thought the way they did that, the way they actually gradually crossed paths, and the way they looked and how confident they were, and Wonder Woman's eventually kind of losing some of her powers. I liked all that, but I just think the way that it was put on screen just didn't sit right with me for some reason. Is one other scene that really jumped out to me as weird is when they're in, I guess, some country overseas somewhere in the Middle East, and they're driving in the truck and she jumps out and all of a sudden she's in her suit.
Yes.
Is that like a Wonder Woman thing that I don't know?
No, I mean she in the Silver Age, she's used the lasso, jumping through the lasso to change outfits, and of course on the TV show, she's done the twirl, and even in the comics they've incorporated the twirl, but
Yeah.
never just getting out of a vehicle and all of a sudden,
That it threw me out of the movie. I'm like, what happened here?
yeah, yeah.
I don't know, man. I hate to be a downer. Ultimately, I did think it was a okay movie, but again, you take that in consideration with all the hype that it got, this whole removing the HBO Max thing, and then you have to wonder.
But look at it from this perspective. I do think it set up a possible return for the Artesia character, which is cool.
Okay, which one?
Maybe.
Help me.
That's the Amazon with the golden armor.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
That was cool.
Definitely.
Um, that 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 was really really cool. And I want to defend Patty Jenkins for a second with the fact that she has a future storyline that she really can't touch, meaning that she can't expose Diana to the public at this point because Diana wasn't exposed previously.
Yeah.
So there's only so much she can do within the confines. I just wish that they would have left some of the camp out
Yeah.
of it,
It was very cheesy, man.
you know.
Very cheesy. What do you think? I guess last little point. Like, what do you think about the world going to heck in a handbasket in this movie? When we were in it and everything was going crazy and everybody being greedy, which they could be like a lot of media does, hinting at other stuff that's going on in the real world. To me, at that point, it was just like, do I really want to be here right now? And the answer was,
Mhm. Yeah, agreed. Well, now I'm not going to ask you for a rating because I'll wait for our review before you give our rating. But would you watch it again? Let me ask it that way.
I do want to watch it again to see how wrong I was. I am. That I hope
Okay.
for. So
All right.
I will watch it again. Like I said, I don't think it was terrible, but I think once you take all the hype into consideration and what we actually got, it's I don't know if it's I'll put it in the lower end of the DC movies that have been out in the last 10 years. I don't know.
I wouldn't put it at the lower end. My lower end is obviously
Don't
Superman versus Batman.
yeah,
And but I'm not saying anything bad about Superman versus Batman, only because I think my opinion may change after seeing the Snyder cut of Justice League.
I don't know, man. I think we have a new contender for a very bad, worse. No, we don't. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad.
No, no, but I do think it suffered again. I'll go back to what I said at the beginning. I think it suffered the too many things at once.
Yeah,
You could have had the cheetah god that she originally got the powers from the totem. I mean, all of that kind of falls in. You could have done cheetah that way and left out Maxwell Lord and the Duke of Deception and all of that, and I think it would have been a much tighter, better, and revolved more around their relationship. Meaning, and honestly, you should have left Steve Trevor where he was in 1918. I
yeah.
don't think he added anything to the story.
He really did. One other thing, I'm not sure kids. Well, it wasn't any bad stuff, but there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of making out and stuff in this movie if the kids are going to be seeing it, which isn't horrible, but it's like really.
Yeah, there was one. I don't remember what the joke was, but there was
character and Kirsten Wiig's character in there when he's trying to get the gem or the crystal, whatever you call it. It's like really. Do we have
yeah. So yeah, I agree with you, but it's Wonder Woman, so I can't be too hard.
Hate
And again, there was stuff that I loved. I loved the plane. I loved the floating on the currents and learning to fly. I loved the closing scene. And the last thing I said in the review that I just posted was me telling you there was one thing that I wish they would have done in the first movie, even if it would have only for a minute, and they didn't do it. And they did it in this one. I can't complain.
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll leave it at that. We'll do a full review, I guess, in the next week or so.
Yeah, agreed. And maybe you'll have time to watch again and get on board with the Magic Lasso and tell the truth how much you love this movie.
I'm speaking my truth right now.
I know you are. That's why I said that. All right. So Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy New Year.